It was quite the moment. Our coaches are with us in Perth. Adam Simpson. Adam, welcome back to 360.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And Chris Scott here in the studio. Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Jared. Robbo.
When you saw that, just flinch reaction?
Mark to Thompson.
Yep.
Yeah, Jason Dunstall would have been half the player he was if that was a free kick. I don't think the rules have changed that much.
And same for you, Adam?
Yeah, definitely a mark. We've been going through that a fair bit ourselves. Probably the biggest issues for us at the moment is dealing with free kicks inside 50 at both ends and some of the strategies in place, but that one was pretty obvious.
If you're resure, what is it today on Sunday when you get the quick analysis, Adam, that it was a mistake? Is there comfort or more frustration to be told that?
Probably a little bit more frustration, I would have thought. But having said that, there was a couple of free kicks that could have gone both ways a little bit earlier as well. So I don't think he'd be using that as an excuse, but not a lot of comfort from it.
Hey, Simo, in the Collingwood West Coast game, it was highlighted several times about blocking of your defenders. Did you go as far, or anyone at your club go as far, to contact the umpires department to what we call in the old days seek clarification?
We went as far as we could go with that. We met some of the umpires over here in Perth. We spoke to Grant at the AFL about some of the things that we've been dealing with. We just wanted to get clarity about some of the strategies that come to play with our backs, and we do it against opposition backs as well. But there's probably a little bit of inconsistencies we're trying to work through. So. Yeah, off-the-ball incidents in the front half for both sides at the moment, I think, is the one area that's causing a little bit of confusion. The umpires are there, sometimes they're not seeing it.
Did you seek some clarity at three-quarter time yesterday?
Oh, I tried. I tried to ask a question, and the initial question is, can I ask you a question? He just couldn't hear me. So it's not a good look to go any further so that he could hear me, but...
We've got the lip readers in, John Longmire's lip readers.
Yeah.
How are you going to make up for that 50?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'll admit to that. But I think the first bit you might have missed, which was, can I ask you a question?
That's rare for you. Or not?
Yeah, no, that's
I
rare.
think
But
it
I think my view is that speaking to the umpires in a respectful and mature way is okay. When it steps over the line, it's clearly not right. I think one of the umpires at the time couldn't hear me because he was explaining something to one of the Hawthorn players, and I think that's good management. The same way that I think the AFL clarifying that Scott Thompson mistake is the right thing to do. So I can understand Simo and Reece Shaw thinking that, well, that might frustrate them even more, but I think it gives good clarity. I think, for the most part, you say, OK, well, now we're clear and we can move on. The really frustrating ones where you aren't clear at all. So mistakes happen and everyone accepts that, but it's when you're really clear on what the rule is, or you think you're really clear, like with the debate we had the other week with front-on contact. When you think you're really clear on the rule and they say, no, you're allowed to do that, well, now I'm confused. And I think it is incumbent on them to clear that up as quickly as possible. It was
the Atkins-Sean Burgoyne incident that really did you in.
Yeah, we had the momentum. We'd kicked the last 2 goals. That was a clear 50-metre penalty that should have been a goal line.
What happened here?
He's marked the ball, he's stopped. The umpire's paid the mark. Burgoyne ran 10 metres over the mark and tackled him. If it's not a 50, because the umpire maybe was a bit flustered, he should have said, well, hang on, let's just take a kick from the spot. We could live with that. But then he doubled down and paid holding the ball against. So it was, but everyone gets frustrated. I think if to give a bit of a guide as to how frustrated you get when you're invested, go and watch a game where you don't have a dog in the fight. You don't get anywhere near as frustrated. We all know we're invested, fans, coaches, and we're biased in the way we look at these things. I think at the end of the day, you let off a bit of steam and then the mature people move on pretty quickly, I hope.
You see on the weekend, for whatever reason, we're going a little safe with the ball, which played into the way they defend. People are talking about Geelong, who lost 3 of 5. I noted today, and you know this, 56, 55 and 61 points in 3 of those 5 games. Very unlike Geelong, even though I would say that you can be a careful coach. So when you talk like that, explain to us, can you?
Yeah.
You want them to be safe, you want them to try and keep the ball, but what is happening when you say we're being too safe? Are you forcing yourself down the line? You're not going for 45s? Explain that to people, can you?
Well, it's dependent on the way you want your team to play in offence. And the game very much is a risk-reward game. If you're going to take high risk, you've got to get some reward from it, or it's not worth it. Depends on the type of players you have as well. I think if your best players were across half-back and the best users of the ball, that you maybe play a little bit more of an attacking brand. You set up your style to suit the strengths of your individuals to an extent. But the way Hawthorn defend in particular is really effective if you play into their hands.
Did you play into their hands?
Well, in the first half we did, yeah, and in the second half it was a little bit different. We had the momentum, and if we had have made the most of our easy chances, then the scoreboard, especially our scoring, would have looked really different. I don't think it would be the problem that we're talking about now. So the biggest thing that's changed in us post-bye is our efficiency in front of goal.
Changed enormously.
Yeah, so and there's a little bit of system within that as well. But if you take your chances, then actually that was the third one we missed in a row, and I said to the boys, I'm going to go down by myself in the elevator. I just need a bit of time. I'll see you down there. It didn't help that
I
much.
need to be alone.
Is it, sorry, round 19, is it stressing your head off? Because you've got some things to fix. Let's be honest, you've got things to fix. Is it stressing your head off, or this is footy? You have to step up. We've got to find a way, all of us, that you, the coaching group, the playing group. What is your overwhelming emotion right now?
Oh, it's still excitement to be in the position we are. We worked really hard to get ourselves in this position, and we understand more acutely than most, I think, that every team in the comp has gone through their ebbs and flows this season. There's no doubt that this is a little bit of a down period for us, but it's not out of control. So I think we've got plenty of time to improve our game, but that's been our philosophy all the way through. We've never felt that we were shooting the lights out. Even earlier in the season, maybe some of our scoring was inflated to an extent because we just were really efficient going inside 50. We were able to retain the ball, and we had some guys that were going through a bit of a purple patch with their accuracy as well. So I think it smooths out over time. We're looking at the body of work, so we're not going to get too paranoid with what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And to be frank, our analysis supports the fact that a little tweak here and there and a bit better execution will cure a lot of our ills.
What are you searching for, Adam, in late July in a season that is highly volatile? And some of these conversations we're having with Chris, we were having with you in the first month and a half of the season.
Injuries and wins at the moment. Yeah, we're trying to get our best on the track. I think a lot of clubs at the moment are testing the depth of their list with key personnel missing games. So your squad mentality really kicks in and getting the close ones. I mean, we went down last week, obviously, against Collingwood. And this week we were 6 points down at three-quarter time and found a way to get over the line. So, yeah, we're just chipping away at the moment. We're not as consistent as we'd like to be, but, more times than not, we're getting the wins. So, yeah, we've got 5 weeks to get it right.
Righto, when Nick Nat came back, Adam, most people were saying, really, what's going to happen now? How will he judge? How will he play Hickey? How will he play Nick Nat? 50-50 at the moment. Will it increase? Will you go with 2 ruckmen? How much have you had to rethink now that Nick Nat's out for a period of time that you're going with Hickey? Are you going to go with the second ruckman, or are you still juggling how you're going to play that one out?
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed Nick went out of our side so quickly. I mean, we had him for 3 games, and I think we were plus 50 at clearances over those 3 weeks, and scores from stoppages went through the roof, and you can change the way you play a little bit. So, yeah, Nick needs a support ruckman. He plays 60-70% max. So the balance of what we were trying to do at the time, we tested it out with Hickey as a second ruck, and we really didn't get a chance to do anything different. And unfortunately, he went down pretty early in the Collingwood game, and he got through the game, but he's obviously is out for an extended period of time. So we'll go back to what we did before we had Nick back, and we still probably think we're not quite certain about what we're going to do. But on the weekend, we went with 1 ruck, and Oscar Allen, the 20-year-old second ruck for us, held up his end to a certain extent, and I think we broke even at clearances and scored some stoppages. So we'll take that as a win on the weekend, but that's not to say we'll change in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
I know you won the premiership last year and there was no Nick Nat. Do you feel there's a sense of vulnerability in that position this year?
Well, we look at Nick as our our franchise player almost. He's our Dangerfield. He's our Fife. He's a game changer. So he does it in a completely different way. And in the past, having success without him in the side, if he didn't play, we didn't win for a fair chunk of time a few years ago. So to find a way last year and for most of this year, we've worked our way through situations. So we're a different side. But I think Tom Hickey's been a great inclusion for us. He's held up his end when we've called upon him, and we think we can find a way without Nick if he's not available. So that's probably what we learnt more than anything last year is resilience, and you're backing your players to play their role, albeit they'll do it a little bit differently. But that's our mantra.
So the occurrence of syndesmosis, Adam, and David King and I were working through this on radio this morning. So we asked the AFL and they said in the past 2 seasons, the average is 8 games lost per club, per team. 2 years ago, down to 7.5 last year. We suspect that you've lost between 40 and 50 games to syndesmosis injuries. Is it too big an outlier?
Well, it probably is for us. I'm not sure if you can completely single out the ground at Optus Stadium, but we've identified it's an issue for us. And we've been talking about this for probably since we got there. It's a magnificent stadium to play at, and I'm sure Chris, I think we played each other last year, and it's a great environment. It's a great ground. The guys love playing there. It's just we're working through how hard it is, and unfortunately we've lost lots of personnel through lower leg injuries. We're working really hard with Venues Live to get it right. They're on board. We're working non-stop to try and get it a little bit soft. It's probably more of a longer term issue for us. Now there's only 2 or 3 games left in the season, plus hopefully some finals. But yeah, we're dealing with that. We're doing everything we can, and unfortunately it means you've got to change the way you train. You've got to reduce loads, and we're missing some pretty important players. So no one's hurting more than us at the moment.
Yeah, how costly can that be within a season?
Oh, well, injuries play a pretty big part, especially to your best players. It doesn't matter what coaches say. If you haven't got your talent out there, you can only bat so deep. So, yeah, we're finding a way. We've never used the injuries as an excuse, and we still won't. So, yeah, it's just important we get the right environment for the players, and we're working hard with Venues Live. So it's collaborative. We're working together. We just got to get it right.
Well, Hearn played this week, and how's McGovern pulled up?
Well, yeah, he dodged McGovern a serious ankle injury. I think it was just your garden variety ankle sprain, which is so rare these days. Normally it's something more sinister. So he should be available. Shannon did his calf at the captain's run on the weekend. So fortunately we took Francis Watson over as our traveller, and he played on the weekend. He debuted for us. He was the 5th Indigenous player in our side, which is a equal club record, which we were really proud of on the weekend. And yeah, he played well as well. So hopefully we get Shannon back this week.
Simo, do you think there's a short-term fix at Optus Stadium? I've got a vested interest. We play there in 2 weeks. Or is it more complicated than that?
I think you just got to rest all your good players. Chris, that's the first thing you need to do.
We do play Freo, I should add. But...
Okay. They're trying a lot of things. Actually, the weather's been pretty wet the last few weeks, and it's probably more about earlier in the season and how the ground handles the summer. And you get towards the back end of the season, different grass grows through, and it does feel a little bit different. So that's why I said earlier it's about the longer term processes and how they manage, and the curator how he organises the ground for AFL and how the players pull up. So in the short term, there's not a lot we can do, but we're trying hard.
So to roll your own idea back to you, do you rest any players in the last 3 games you've got there this season? No. Look, it's no, we can't. We don't have that luxury. We're not a game clear on top of the ladder. We're fighting for every quarter at the moment. So we're going full strength, and look, it's not to the point where it's at a stage where you don't play players. It's not that issue. It's more of a longer term outlook. All right, we'll take a break and back with you. Adam Simpson and Chris Scott with us on Coach's Night here on 360. On the couch is next Paul Roos, Gary Lyon, Jonathan Brown and Gerard Healy running through the events of round 18.
drops it onto the boot after a ripping mark and kicks a great goal. Look at the celebration.
The bow and arrow comes out. I'd like to see some Ks on the clock before I see that sort of behaviour.
There's a time maybe for the bow and arrow to come out. I'm not sure that's the exact time.
He's the bow and arrow man, Desmond.
16 games in, son.
He's had a few low-key ones.
That's not low-key.
That is as good as it gets.
We don't want to shut everyone down to be boring and plain like me, do we? We do need an understanding of what it looks like and when you do it and when you don't do it.
And here it is, the bow and arrow.
Bang.
When's the right time to let players be themselves, and when's the right time to just counsel them? Go, "Hey, just cool your jets a little bit."
Well, I think it's virtually always the right time to be yourself. I think what our role as coaches in counselling the players is trying to explain what sort of pressure that might bring to bear. So I played with Jason Akabanis for most of my career, and he welcomed the pressure. He loved the attention, there's no question of that. But with that sort of behaviour comes some pressure. So if you can deliver, more power to you.
What's your attitude towards individual expression, Adam?
Well, we had the two Harry High Pants a couple of weeks ago after the Derby, but McGovern and Barras. So I agree with Chris. If you want to put yourself out there, you've got to be able to handle the pressure. So there's a time and a place, but look, I think there's no harm in it, to be honest. And yeah, sometimes it does bite you on the backside, though.
Yeah, it does. Just on that, I mean, you guys are there to win coaches and win games of football, but sports theatre as well for you guys and all of us. Are we getting maybe in danger of trying to take away personalities? The players get accused all the time of being robots. As soon as a player, a young kid, does that, it's like the footy world jumps on him. It is so unfair, Adam. We've got to let him entertain.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what happens is the media might jump on it a little bit more than anyone else. So the fact that this one's probably been seen in the right way is a good thing. You know, we want some individuals, we want some celebration and, yeah, some excitement. So I'm with you, mate.
At Alice Springs yesterday, had 5 Indigenous players, and there was a great sense of camaraderie in the jumper swap that went on. So what did it mean to the team? What did it mean to those players to be part of footy in the Alice wearing those jumpers?
Well, it's probably not just that. I mean, for my time at West Coast and in Western Australia, the Indigenous presence and the way that the club handles all parts of that community is tremendous. I've learnt so much since I've been at the club, and to have 5 Indigenous players play on the weekend in Alice Springs, it was we're so proud to be a part of. And albeit it was a late call up for Frankie Watson, he did definitely feel part of the team, and we had plenty of support up there. It was a really good community feel. So we had a great experience. Obviously, we had a win too, which always helps. But yeah, they were the most popular players around town for a couple of days.
And got any theories why Chris, the caretaker coach this year, has sort of got such an invigorated response immediately?
I do actually. I think that the teams are starting to go pretty well before the caretaker took over. So even St Kilda ran Richmond to maybe 4 goals. They were 9 points up against us at half-time. I thought their trajectory was looking pretty solid. North, I think, were 10 goals to 1 at half-time against Carlton.
Yeah, Brad won.
The Bulldogs the next week.
Yep.
But it's one of those intangibles. I'm a big believer in the ebbs and flows of the season, as I've said. But Lee Matthews used to say that sometimes there's a freedom that comes with playing when there's not that much on the line. And not many coaches leave midway through the season when there are finals in prospect. So maybe it's just a bit more freedom. Not so much the change in coach, but more just let's just express ourselves here a bit, and if it doesn't work, well, we haven't lost that much. And
what about the second chance, Coach Adam? So we've got a live case study in Brett Rutten, and we might get a case study in Michael Voss. Would the industry be better if coaches weren't disposed of after one job?
Oh, I think it's the next phase, really, the evolution of the game. I hope it continues because when I get the flick, I'll be looking for another job. But the fact is, those guys have come in pretty young, and I think they've gone back. And from the outside, it looks like clearly they worked on their craft. I had the privilege of working with Rats for a few years, and I learned so much. He just came out of the job at Carlton, and we shared an office, so a lot of what I took over to West Coast, so I learned a lot from him as well. So I'm not surprised, even the way he spoke on the weekend and the way he handled himself. He's like a pro. So yeah, look, I think it's the next phase in AFL.
Adam, thanks for being part of it again tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Chris, good to see you.
You too.
Coach tonight on AFL 360.